Nolan. Nolan, it's me.
Your nemesis.
Nolan, it's me. I think Nolan is like having nightmares at this point, and he sees the Archangel Metatron descending with 72 wings to harass him in his sleep. Nolan. Check this out. We've got a channel called Misha Petrov, 528,000 subscribers, and she says the Odyssey looks ridiculous, and she's absolutely right. Now, I've never heard of this creator before, but the algorithm decided, bro, you gotta watch this. So let's have a look at the channel for a second, so we have an idea of what we are talking about. 942 videos, US or us, common sense first. There is a lesbian, anti-woke left, anti-woke right, commentary on politics and culture. I am confused. I'm very confused about this. What? But let's see the videos. What have we got? Let's see if we can have an idea. Black Betty Boop. Yeah, they're doing that, aren't they? Reacted to delusional anti-capitalist. Gen Alpha can't read at all. Okay. Greek, the Odyssey backlash triggered the view. Yeah, so far I see some baseness here. Why trans kids are on the rise. Trans kids in quotations. That's another point. Fantastic. Should always be. Trans children, trans kids, always put in quotation because they do not exist. Talking about mythology. The Odyssey looks ridiculous. She's absolutely right. Woke tears. I understand. I think I'm starting to get it. I'm so sick of this shit. Tell me about it. There is one way to do a final judge of character, guys. There is. Yeah, there we go. I found it. Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's it. So I'm going to click it now. And depending on what she says about what happened to Charlie Kirk, I'll decide if we're going to react to the channel or if we're going to ban the channel from my eyes. That is the true test of character these days.
America is getting worse. Political violence in America is getting worse. And today we just got another chilling reminder of that, because Charlie Kirk was just shot while speaking at a college event in Utah, and it has now been confirmed that he has died from his injuries. At only 31 years old, his life was cut short in an act of deliberate political violence. Whatever your opinion was on his views, he was a passionate figure, a father, a husband. What's disturbing is that instead of people pausing to process this tragedy, certain individuals online are already celebrating. They're treating it like some kind of karmic justice.
Based. I don't even need to watch anymore. Subscribe. Done.
But celebrating violence this way is inhumane.
Thank you. Boom. Okay, based girl. Fantastic. Now I'm happy to listen to the Odyssey. I'm going to listen to the Odyssey right now. Let's see. Odyssey, let's go.
This movie should feel cinematic, larger than life, and instead it already feels weirdly modernized, emotionally flat. We have the expected DEI, race swaps.
This is the stupidest, most asinine shit I've ever seen. True. And I was born in Greece. But if we're gonna rewrite history into this debacle, then certainly this should be allowed.
Elliot Page looks like maybe playing Achilles, because we all know the trans character from the Odyssey. Right. A huge part of the problem is Hollywood's...
I like it already. I don't know about you guys, but we're gonna go subscribe to Misha, am I right?
Obsession with filtering every classic story through current ideological trends and contemporary culture instead of what? Respecting the source material. They can't do it. Probably because they have to go through the DEI checklist so that it's eligible for the Oscars.
Totally, yeah. Not only the Oscars, but it's a cult, right? It's a satanic cult. So in Hollywood, they all kneel down. They've got the slaughtered chickens, and then they try to summon the devil. And of course, in order to do it, they've got the checklist provided by said devil in order to be like, okay, we need to do all the checklists so that that's what it is, disruption of the nuclear family. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Thank you.
Most likely what Nolan is doing. But let's talk about the controversy here. Please. So, first of all, the casting. Looks like Helen of Troy is going to be played by Lupita Nyong. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So she is playing Helen. So she's supposedly the most beautiful woman in the Greek world, one of the most iconic figures in Greek mythology. And this casting completely breaks the historical, mythological immersion that a lot of people were looking forward to, right? Because when audiences picture Helen of Troy, they are imagining a very specific cultural and historical archetype.
Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because the freaking authors tell us? To be fair, she'd be a better Helen of Troy. She could be a good Helen of Troy.
to ancient Greece. But Hollywood does not seem to care about accuracy, unless, of course, it benefits modern political messaging, right? They wouldn't race swap in the other direction. They wouldn't take an original black character and make a white actor play them.
True.
But this is fine.
Now, when you make a movie, you have to allocate big parts to the DEI gods. And this is exactly what they do. It's not about the actress. This decision right here, it just takes you away from the movie.
These stories came from...
And the thing is, I honestly don't believe it's just the DEI checkbox. And here is why. Because if it was just about the DEI checkbox, okay, what they could do is set the movie in the Kingdom of Kush. Done. Pretty much everybody's going to be black, right? Kingdom of Kush. Maybe if you want to talk about, that's what I would have done. I would have done a representation of the actual clash that the Kingdom of Kush, which would be modern-day Ethiopia, had against the Roman Empire. And literally, you can put the Queen Amanirenas, a black woman queen, historical. She's represented wielding axes and bows. And she would have been clashing against Octavian, Gaius, Julius Caesar, Octavianus Augustus, as the Roman legions are pushing from the Africa Proconsularis, the whole area. They have got Egypt. Kingdom of Kush feels the threat, but they're like, no, not against us. You don't F with us. So they clash, they fight. And believe it or not, they even managed to not only give serious trouble to the Romans. I've got a dedicated video to this. For some reason, nobody knows this one. They managed to give trouble. The Romans underestimate the people from the Kingdom of Kush. They underestimate them. And so they cause some trouble, and they steal a statue of the emperor, which to the Romans means you took a statue of a living god. And they take it away. So the Romans send the messengers, the centurions, and they say, give us the statue back. Kingdom of Kush, the Queen Amanirenas, she says, no. What you gonna do about it? And the Romans raise the legions. They move south. They F them up because it's the Romans. Of course, the Romans win. Sorry, Hollywood. But she did fought fiercely. And at the end, the Romans are like, yeah, but this was a lot. So let's just stop it. You stay in your territory. We stay in ours. We don't F with you. You don't F with us. And in fact, up to a certain extent, the Roman emperor must have respected the warlike attitude of the Kushites because they have an exchange of letters. This is documented in the sources. The queen writes to the emperor, and the emperor writes back. This is not nothing. If they really wanted to do the DEI checklist, they could have done it. There's a lot of good casting that could have happened, including a strong black woman. And then the Romans, you have to cast them Mediterraneans because otherwise we flip at that table. But you know what I mean? The problem is, though, they don't. Because this isn't about just DI checkboxes. This is about hatred towards white. So you have to race swap white. Because it's about white deletion of history, culture, legend, myth, everything. That's a reality.
Specific civilizations, specific people, specific cultural identities. So if you want to create a new mythological fantasy story with original characters, have black actors play them, have Asian characters play them, Native American characters, the whole cast can be trans. It doesn't matter. The whole cast can be in a wheelchair, whatever you want, but create an original story.
She's right. I have nothing against that. Nothing against it.
People are tired of these constant race swaps.
True.
All right. And I don't understand it because it just keeps flopping every time they do this.
The costume design.
It does keep flopping, but it doesn't matter because they have budgets. And they don't care. They care about the message more. So they will take the loss as long as the anti-white message is pushed.
It doesn't make any sense. The armor is from the wrong time period. The people who are being cast in roles don't look like the people of that time period. It's all of these people saying, oh, Christopher Nolan can do whatever he wants because the Odyssey is fantasy. The Odyssey is not real. Fantasy takes place in a made-up world with made-up events in made-up timelines. The Odyssey...
Man, this guy look at this guy. Talking about historically, this guy looks like a musketeer. I respect the look, man.
Is a fictional story that takes place in a real time in history.
Half fictional.
Western Turkey, southern Greece, and Sicily.
As for Elliot Peach, looks like they are playing Achilles or Achilles' ghost. Now, Achilles is supposed to embody intimidating masculinity, right? Strength. And whether people like hearing this or not, actors kind of need to physically embody that kind of presence, right? The role that they are playing.
And he had hair of gold.
And when audiences picture Achilles, they're probably imagining someone very, imposing, kind of statuesque, right?
Masculine, dare I say.
Not a 5'1" biological female.
Thank you, man, this lady. Man. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to add this to it. Not only we're against race swapping, we're against gender swapping. How about that? If the historical character / mythological / fantasy, because at this point I don't even care. If the character is black, the actor needs to be black. If the character is white, the actor needs to be white. If the character is male, the actor needs to be male. If the character is female, the actor needs to be female. We do not want chaos. It's havoc if you let the Hollywood elites and the gender ideology freaking graduates take control of this. And don't shock the cat. Please, for the love of everything that is good, do not shock that cat.
Brad Pitt was our guy back in the day. Fantastic. Who do we get now?
Yeah.
As for the trailer.
Tell me what you remember.
My wife?
Careful. We're going to get copy claimed. She's not speaking, guys, so that's why I'm muted. Not that I would mute a woman. I'm just trying to avoid. There we go.
Addie. Okay. The dialogue is another issue here, okay? The overall atmosphere of the film, it just doesn't fit. A film like The Odyssey, it should sound elevated, ancient. This just sounds way too modern, way too casual, American.
Because a story that's 3,000 years old that takes place during ancient Greece, for some reason is having all their characters talk like they're at a Little League game in Ohio.
And visually, of course, dark, weirdly dull, gray, washed out, like everything else we've been getting recently.
Who's looking at?
Yeah, we got to avoid these, though. We got to avoid these. Come on.
He's coming home.
What can I say?
Part of the controversy revolves around Emily Wilson, whose translation of The Odyssey Nolan has referenced while discussing the film.
Of course, he went for a feminist to translate. That's not a translation. The New Yorker.
And Wilson is known for reinterpreting Homer through a much more modern lens, especially when it comes to gender, power dynamics, and she intentionally stripped away a lot of the older, more elevated, poetic language from previous translations.
Man, could you imagine, talking about power dynamics in ancient Greece? Do you know what the ancient Greeks thought about what women should do and say? We'll keep an eye on that one, all right?
In favor of simpler, more contemporary wording, which we can tell from the trailer. That, yes, makes the story more accessible to modern audiences, but it also removes that, again, ancient atmosphere that made the original epic feel special in the first place. When we're getting, what's up? Let's go. My dad's coming back. What are we watching?
It is so true. I didn't even think about that.
Costumes and visual design feel off compared to older movies where the armor actually looked lived in, weathered, texture.
Well, yeah, right, but the armor shouldn't be lived in and weathered because the ancients actually polished that shit like crazy. So I'm gonna say that, but it's fine. You don't know that. It's okay. Not a problem.
Here, everything looks weirdly artificial and fake, cheap.
Promise me you will come back.
Skipping.
Understand these choices.
I don't think it's misogynistic to say that advances in cosmetic procedures over the last 20 years are now directly interfering with an actor's ability to play a role convincingly in a period drama. Anne Hathaway is just the latest example of this. The cosmetic work she's had done is tasteful and has really enhanced her beauty and works very well in the present day. But when you're playing a role in an adaptation of one of the oldest works
That's a very good point.
literature, an adaptation of really the foundational work of Greek literature, it doesn't really work. An actor's ability to emote is actually a core feature of their job.
Also, let's talk about the Travis Scott situation. So, Christopher Nolan explains controversial Travis Scott casting in The Odyssey.
Yeah, laughing is the correct thing to do, by the way.
Travis Scott plays a bard in The Odyssey and has been featured in various commercial spots for the movie. Yeah, when I think of The Odyssey, I think of Travis Scott. Scott will appear in the movie as a bard, which is a professional poet who recites verses and stories about heroes. I cast him because I wanted to nod towards the idea that this story has been handed down as oral poetry, which is analogous to rap.
Man, what a stupid excuse. Literally, how is this the guy who made Interstellar? I don't know. Thank you, Viking Gremlin, for subscribing with Prime on Twitch. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, guys, on Twitch. Appreciate little Botox in ancient Greece. Let's go.
Nolan said. Because The Odyssey began as oral poetry, we should connect it to modern rap. The explanation comes off as very pretentious. We're going to
It
be
is.
thinking about
Yes.
celebrity culture. Every choice like this, it just pulls people out of ancient Greece back into the modern world, Hollywood, which just cannot stop ruining classic stories. They're on a...
You know, she's right. Thank you, Helen, for talking about this. Misha, Petrov, I really appreciate that. So anyways, cool channel, link in chat, and really appreciate it so we can move forward, because as I say, I'm a busy bee today. No disrespect, no racism towards bees, of course.